Hello, my name is Morgan Winkler, and today I am going to be talking about the App State Duck Pond. Like many other App State students, I see the duck pond very frequently. Every time I walk past, I find myself very fascinated and wondering more things about it. This is why I chose to do my research project on the duck pond here at App. The first thing you should know about the duck pond is how it was made. The pond was made in 1959, though it was never meant to be a pond in the first place. That mostly just happened on accident. Let me explain. Basically, when App State was constructing dorms on the west side of campus, they had to dig a very big hole in the ground to prevent the construction site from flooding. While they were digging this hole, they hit an underwater spring, and the hole kept filling up with water even after they tried to drain it. They decided that it looked nice and looked close enough to a pond that they just decided to keep it. Eventually, someone came along and put some ducks in the pond. It's important to note that these ducks were a breed that cannot fly and therefore cannot migrate to warmer weather in the winter, which is why they stay here at App. I would like to introduce you to App State's beloved duck caretaker, Daniel Bird. Bird has been working at App for the past 12 years and taking care of our ducks for the last 10. On one snowy day, Bird drove past the duck pond on his way home from work like he always did, and he started to wonder about the ducks. More specifically, he wondered how the ducks ate enough food in the winter, as foraging for their own food is much harder with a foot of snow on the ground. Bird began to feed the ducks himself, and quickly noticed that nobody else seemed officially in charge. Bird took it upon himself to take care of the ducks, frequently feeding them cracked corn paid for out of his own pocket, which costed him roughly $1,800 a year. Nowadays, the food Bird gives them is paid for by App State. Not only that, but they're also fed a full nutritional diet. Bird also keeps a head count of how many ducks are here at App. Any guesses on how many we have right now? 44! There are 44 ducks at App right now. That's a lot of ducks to keep track of, especially in the warm weather when they spread out all over campus, some of them even crossing the street and staying at the water retention pond by Central Dining Hall. Bird says that when he goes to feed the ducks, they all come up to him at once, which I like to imagine looks something like this. Okay, maybe it doesn't look exactly like that, but you get the point, right? Another important thing to keep in mind when taking care of ducks is the ideal ratio of male to female ducks. In a controlled pond, the ideal ratio is 1 male duck to every 4 or 5 female ducks. This helps to stop the males from getting too aggressive during mating season. In the wild, you can expect to see about a 50-50 ratio, which, due to people abandoning their unwanted ducks in our pond, is around the same ratio we've got right now. In 2018, someone abandoned 10 ducks, all of which were male. So how do you know if a duck is a female or a male? Well, there's 2 big indicators of whether a duck is female or male. The first one is the way they sound. Male ducks have a quieter, lower-pitched quack, kind of like this. And females have a much more loud and aggressive quack, kind of like this. Another way you can tell them apart is by their tails. Tail feathers on female ducks typically lay flat, whereas tail feathers on male ducks are typically fluffier and point upwards. One more super important thing Bird does is he helps look after the ducks when they're injured. Sometimes he'll bring them their own bowl of food and water. The most common injury that ducks get are on their legs and feet. One particular very common condition is called bumblefoot. This happens when they scrape a foot on big heavy rocks. This is especially common at App because, as previously mentioned, this pond was not designed with ducks in mind. Luckily, Bird does a great job of making sure that they all get the care that they need. Looking after all these ducks alone is hard work, and Bird was worried that once he left App, nobody would take his place and take care of the ducks. So he put together a team that he calls the Duck Committee. The Duck Committee is comprised of 7 members. 2 members of the landscaping team, who help to make sure that the duck pond is safe for all of the ducks living in it. 1 member in the vet tech program at App, who works as the veterinary technician when the ducks are sick or injured. 1 member who has a PhD in poultry science, which Bird, like me, didn't know was a thing until he was putting the committee together. one member, who is the chair of another committee on campus called the Institutional Animal Care and Use Committee, and one last member, who's the part of the App State Police Department, who lets Bird know when the police get a call about a potentially injured duck. People often do not know who to call for help and will call the police. And of course, the head of the Duck Committee, Daniel Bird himself. Thanks to Daniel Bird, App State can proudly say that these ducks are safe, cared for, and happy. Not only that, but Bird has made sure that these ducks will be looked after long after he leaves App State. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new today, and I hope that you all found this as interesting of a topic as I did.